Hello, hello, hello everybody, and welcome back. Root Beer here with more of the 2010 Hypatia contest. Alright, so we saw question 1 in the last video, and now we are on question number 2. A function f is such that f of x minus f of x minus 1 equals 4x minus 9. And we're also told that f of 5 is equal to 18. Okay. So we have 3 short little parts here. Question 2 looks a lot shorter than the paragraph we saw in question number 1. A part, determine the value of f of 6. B part, determine the value of f of 3. And then C, if we are given a particular form for f of x, a particular quadratic form, determine the p and the q in this formula. Okay. So these questions, this question here is sort of designed to tell, are we comfortable with the concept of taking x equals 6, plugging it in here, that sort of stuff? Okay, and C part takes that to the limit because I think we'll have to take x minus 1 and plug it into this expression, which is not the easiest thing for some people. We're going to go through it. We're going to go through it, and we're going to write it up as well. But A part, determine the value of f of 6. Well, I know f of 5, it's 18. And I know the difference between consecutive values of f. So get ourselves a little more paper here. So f of x minus f of x minus 1. So whatever I put in for x, 1 less for that right there. And we're told that that's 4x plus 9. It was plus 9, right? Nope, 4x minus 9, my mistake. Okay, so let x be 6. Well, then we've got f of 6 minus f of 5 is equal to 4 times 6 minus 9, but that's 24, minus 9, that's 15. Okay, so we want f of 6. Let's rearrange f of 6, 15 plus f of 5. But they gave me f of 5. They told me that that was 18. So f of 6 is going to have to be 33. Okay. So this little extra tidbit right here, that was useful to us. Okay. So, not a whole lot left to do. We've shown our work. We started with the equation. We let x equal 6, and there we go. We rearranged everything. Now the next one, they said, what is f of 3? Okay. So f of 3, well, the only things I know now are f of 6 and f of 5. How can I talk about f of 3? Well, it has to use this equation somewhere. F of x minus f of x minus 1 equals 4x minus 9. Right? It's got to use those two. Or, sorry, this equation right here. So one of these two expressions, these f of x or f of x minus 1, needs to be f of 3, just like we had to make one of them be f of 6 in order to calculate f of 6. Well, if I put a 3 here, I'll get a 2 here. I don't know either of those. Okay, well, what if I put a 3 here? Then x would have to be 4. I don't know either of those. But if I also do the calculation with the 4 here, and I'll get a 5 here, and that's one I do know. So I'll work down to f of 3. So f of 5 minus f of 4 is equal to 4 times 5 minus 9. And f of 4 minus f of 3 is 4 times 4 minus 9. So this is 20 minus 9, that's 11. And this is 16 minus 9, that's 7. Okay. So now I could rearrange this equation for f of x, or sorry, not f of x, f of 3 in terms of f of 4. And then rearrange this equation for f of 4 in terms of f of 5, which I do know. Or I could label these two equations and add them. Okay, 11 plus 7, that's going to be 18. F of 5 plus f of 4 minus f of 4, these guys are going to cancel each other out. And over here, we're just going to get f of 5 minus f of 3. But I know this one, it's 18. So 18 minus f of 3 is 18. We quickly rearrange. F of 3 has got to be equal to 0. Interesting. So f of 6 is 33, f of 5, 18, and f of 3 is 0. Now, doing it this way means I didn't immediately rearrange and solve for f of 4. Now, we can see if f of 3 is 0, then f of 4 is going to have to be 7. But whether or not we need that for the next part, I don't know. But we've calculated f of 6 and f of 3 just using this one equation and our knowledge of f of 5. Okay. So let's carefully read 2c here. If f of x is equal to 2x squared plus px plus q, determine the value of p and q. So there's sort of two ways I can think to do this one. The first way, which is the one that I prefer to do, is take this expression that we know about f and then use this sort of exact form and work it out from there. We'll probably also have to use this f of 5 is equal to 18 stuff here. Now, another thing we can do, we know, for example, f of 3 is 0. So we could say something like 0 is equal to f of 3, but that's 2 3 squared plus p times 3 plus q. Now, this doesn't give us a whole lot of information. We got the 18 here, and then 3p and q, but we also know things like 18 is f of 5, which is 2 5 squared plus p times 5 plus q. Now we have two equations in two unknowns. We should be able to solve for p and q if we wanted to. Okay, and since I've got the time, I think I'll quickly do that. So this guy is 18 plus 3p plus q, because I do like showing you guys different ways to do questions. 5 squared is 25 to the 50 plus 5p plus q. Okay, so we'll bring the 18 and the 50 over to the side. So 50 minus 18 is 40 minus 8, so that's negative 32. 3p plus q, 5p plus q, and we're going to rearrange these so it's a little clearer what I'm about to do. I am going to subtract these two equations, just like I did in the last part. This gets rid of my q's, because q minus q is 0q. We're left with 2p here. Negative 32 minus negative 18, well, that's negative 32 plus 18. If you need to, of course, rearrange it on the side, confirm it for yourself. But we should get negative 14 here. So that tells me p is equal to negative 7. And knowing that, we can substitute in and solve for q. We'll get q is equal to 3. Okay? 18 minus 21 is negative 3, plus q has got to be equal to 0, so we get q is equal to 3. So that's one way to do it. Not that hard, not a whole lot of writing needs to be done. You got two equations. You might even say up here, from b we know that, but not a whole lot to do there. And you might say, let's subtract these equations, let's solve for p, but don't worry about that. So that's one way to do the question. And if you did it that way, that's great. Not a whole lot of writing. I'm going to show you another way you can do this question. And if you haven't thought about this, well, now suddenly you've got another trick up your sleeve the next time you see a question like this. Okay? And questions like this do pop up from time to time. I recently had to do a Euclid with an enrichment program I work with. And there was a question just like this, pretty late on the Euclid, as I recall, as well. Okay, so we've got this expression 2x squared plus px plus q, and we know only this relationship, really, and then f of 5 is 18. This should be enough to solve. So I know f of x minus f of x minus 1 is 4x minus 9. Well, f of x is 2x squared plus px plus q, and then plugging in x minus 1 here. Now, if you have trouble plugging in like this, then you should definitely go with the first method I showed you. Okay, so some things we can notice right away. The q's are going to cancel each other out, but how do we get this minus 9 constant here? Well, don't worry. For example, we'll get minus p here as well. So not a whole lot to do over on this side, but now we've got minus 2x squared minus 2x plus 1, then plus px minus p. 2x squared plus px minus, so we'll just carry this all through. So minus 2x squared minus 2 times negative 2, so plus 4x, minus 2, and then minus px plus p. So that's got to be equal to 4x minus 9. Well, there's some cleaning up we can do here. The x squareds will cancel out. Good, because we don't have any x squareds on the right-hand side. This px and this minus px will cancel out. And this 4x over here and this 4x over here cancel out. And so we're left with p minus 2 is equal to negative 9. Well, we can quickly rearrange that and get that p is equal to negative 7. Okay. Well, where do we go from there? Because the q's canceled each other out. Well, don't forget, we were given a very special piece of information. And that is, I don't want to skip over to the next page, so we'll just quickly write it here. We know f of 5 is equal to 18. And now we know p is negative 7. So we know 18 is 2, 5 squared, minus 7 times 5 plus q. Well, that's 50 minus 35 plus q. That's 15 plus q. We get q is equal to 3. And there we go. So we got the same result two different ways. It all depends on, are you comfortable with this x minus 1 stuff, expanding, manipulating when you just have an x in the equation? Are you comfortable with basic algebraic manipulation? Because if you're not, go with the first method I show you. It's more solving two different equations, which is a fairly standard setup that most of you should have seen by the time you're writing these Hypatias, by the time you're in grade 11. Yeah. So that's C on that's 2C, and that finishes the question off. And we got negative 7 and 3. Very nice, very short little question, at least in terms of its wording. But I like when they have multiple ways to do it. Okay, so in the next video, we're going to take a look at question number 3, and I will see you guys there. Thank you so much for watching.